Hey, welcome to our podcast. It's not all black and white.
I am Cera. I'm black.
I'm Matthew. I'm white. And we're the Interracial couple. Welcome to the podcast. So today we are going to be talking about working out. When we first met, Cera convinced me to start running with a little quote that you either made up or heard somewhere.
Yeah, what was the quote?
You said, the couple that exercises together stays together.
That is so true.
Do we know this? Is there scientific proof?
I don't know if there's not scientific proof, but I think it's true.
Well,
whatever I think is true is true.
That's probably true. And it's certainly, so far, it's worked for us.
We're still together.
We're still together, and we exercise together.
When we first met, I was doing a lot of running, which is something I've done. I think my entire life I've always been a runner. Not like a serious runner, but I always went on a run if I was stressed out or it's just kind of part of like what I do. I just go on a run. And you didn't even have running shoes. No.
Well, no. I had old tennis shoes.
Okay.
They were pretty old, and they definitely after a few, I forget, it was a few times of running, you told me it was completely unacceptable what I was running in, and I had to go get some real running shoes.
Really? Did I say that?
You did. You're like, you can't keep running in those shoes. Those are not real running shoes. They were $20 Skechers or something.
Oh, I remember those shoes. They were so bad.
Yeah, those were pretty bad.
The reason for me, I always advocate running is I just feel like it's the cheapest, easiest workout that anyone can pick up.
Right.
Just because you don't need expensive equipment, you don't need a trainer to teach you how to run. You just get up and walk outside and start running.
Right. Even though now that I've been running for almost 3 years since I've been with you, I definitely have begun to sort of understand certain technique, breathing technique, how my foot hits the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But that actually that wasn't something that I needed to know before I started. It was something that I could start with. We started by running a mile or two, probably not a mile, a couple miles, maybe 3 miles, 2 to 3 miles. They were sort of these short runs, and then they got longer and longer.
Yeah, just because I've been running doesn't mean I go for like long miles. I think like tops is between my target has always been about 3 to 6 miles. Mm-hmm. Like I don't go on 7 mile, 10 mile runs, I've always been like a 3 to 6 person runs. Right. I don't do extreme runs.
So before we were together though, so running was basically, that was your exercising?
It has been my exercise since I was like a kid. So when I was a kid, I ran to school. And then I moved to the US and I was just like, every evening before dinner, maybe 20, 30 minutes before dinner, I would just put on my tennis shoes and go on a run. And then come back and eat dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I ever really had much of a exercise regimen until I met you. I've always been a hiker, so I've done, a lot of hiking, throwing a backpack on, going to the wilderness, climbing mountains, but almost nothing else. When I was in college, I was really skinny, and I needed to put on weight, and a friend of mine at school had been a weight trainer, and he said, "Hey, you know what? I've got the regiment that the German Olympic weightlifting team uses, so let's do that." So I put on 20 pounds.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot, but I needed. I weighed 125 or something, so I was really, really skinny, and that was so I was in my mid-20s. And then since then, it had always been kind of start and stop until we started running together.
Yeah.
And then even before we moved here, we joined a gym and.
Yeah, we joined the gym. I think it was last couple months before we left the US. But other than that, in the beginning, we just ran. We joined the gym, I think, for 4 months.
Mm.
It was not more than 4 months that we went to the gym. And we joined because the gym, LA Fitness, just opened
a block from our house.
Yeah, that's why we joined. Yeah. So
because the idea of getting in the car and driving someplace, getting out of the car, going in, working out, going back to the car, going home, showering, now you've Just thought, well, all that time of driving to the gym or whatever, might as well have just been using that to exercise for free by going on a run or a jog.
Yeah. As we're talking, I just thought like when I actually got into like running more, when Elias, our friend Elias, who is Syrian, started running for Syria, when the crisis in Syria just kind of had just started. And so he started doing these runs where he would meditate for peace in Syria, and he asked us, like all his friends, to go on runs for Syria. So to me, running became a very, I think it's kind of started changing, and it became like very meditative because I would run and make a prayer. To me, that felt so important that I was going for a run when there was like the Arab Spring was happening, Syria was about to like, the war hadn't really began, but because he had family in Syria, they were talking about like how bad it's starting to become. And so like all our friends were all running for Syria, which was like really nice. Like you'd be like, hey, on like social media, I ran like 3 miles for Syria today, I ran 12 miles, and that went on for like 5 years. And that was still happening. He still like runs, but I don't know if we went on a run for Syria with Elias.
We did one time, yeah. One of the things that you have done that was fun that you brought into our lives was your challenges with your friends at UCLA.
Oh, yeah.
Were those always exercise related, or were they different types of challenges?
I think I've used running to get through different hurdles in my life. So I've never struggled with weights like until like my 30s. So I never went for runs to lose weight. I went for run to overcome stress at school. There was nothing else I could do. Let's say in like the Syria case, was like, that is what I felt I was contributing to that. And so when I went to UCLA, I was doing a 6-week program, and it was so intense. It was a summer program covered in 6 weeks. That was supposed to be like, we were covering material in 6 weeks that was supposed to be for 14 weeks. And it was so intense, and we had to work in groups. You have to learn how to work in groups. And so I suggested to the group of girls that I was doing the project with, how about we go on a challenge of like running 2 miles until we finish the class. And so they were like, that is such an amazing idea, and they were on board. And so we'll be having like issues, and like would come with a challenge and we didn't know what to do, and we'll be like, let's go on a run.
Now with those, because we did now a few years later, so this would have been, I guess, 2 years ago, we did that over Christmas, the Christmas holiday, and I forget if it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks exactly. It was somewhere in that ballpark. I think it might have been the whole month of December, where we basically said we're gonna run 2 miles a day, rather than when people get into the holidays and they think, oh, I get bloated, I eat too much, then I need to lose weight, and all this stuff. Was forget that. Let's preempt the whole thing. Let's just have fun. Let's not think about it. Instead, we're gonna have a challenge where we run every day at least 2 miles. It had to be 2 miles, or I think you had to do a certain number of like sprints up one of the hills, the one near our house, and then when we were in Northern California. So if there was a hill, you could do, I think, 10 sprints or something up, 10 sprints of 100 yards, which was way worse. I think a few of us said, we'll try that one day, because I don't want to run for 2 miles. And you do 10 sprints up a hill for 100 meters and think, you know what? I'd rather crawl on my belly for 2 miles than do that. But that was a lot of fun. And part of what I think made it, the seriousness of it too, was that if you didn't run one day, you had to put $5 into the jar.
Yeah, you had to. And I think like the money aspect of it was like really important, because putting $5 over a period, we started running, and I remember it was right after Thanksgiving. So
it was, we did a full month. It was the entire month of December.
Yeah, I think someone in our house complained about being bloated after Thanksgiving. It's like, I ate too much, and we were just like, that is not gonna happen again, because this is the season of eating too much and feeling bloated. So we're just gonna run, and then if you don't, you just contribute $5 to the jar, and the deal was that we're gonna use that money to all go out for dinner.
So if you don't run, you spend money so that you can then eat more food and gain more weight.
Yeah. It was, I don't think anyone contributed. Literally everyone ran.
I think we did. And and even though it wasn't a lot, we had obviously 2 teenagers who were doing it, who weren't working. So for them, $5 meant a lot.
Yeah, sometimes they would go on runs, they would be like annoyed.
Yeah.
I even like remember when for Christmas we went to our friend's house for Christmas, and then we had to like go on a run after driving for hours. It was so annoying. I remember just being so annoyed. It was like,
that's right. We'd driven from LA to Oakland, California. We'd been in, and then we went in, and we all had to go strap on our running shoes and put on our running clothes. And it's winter time in Northern California, and we had to go out on a run.
Yeah, I remember just being so annoyed and being like, why did I agree to this?
But it was pretty awesome.
It was awesome. Like, all I'm saying, there were moments where you were like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm. And I think it kind of ties into sort of this accountability thing, right? Because it wasn't just, I'm going to go do a run. It was, we all have to run, we're going to spend money if we don't. And there are other people that actually cared. And I actually do think that there were a few dollars put in. I feel like we went out for coffee or something. I could be wrong. It was 2 years, and 2 years ago, I don't know. I don't know what I had for dinner last night. So.
But what I remember from that challenge is how we all got so close.
Right.
Because we were doing it together, we were in it together. So the days where I didn't want to do it, the girls were like, that's the day they want to do it.
Right, exactly. And because there was more than one person, there was this, the stakes were high. There was nobody that was going to give you a pass. It wasn't like, hey, come on, let's both just going to take the day off. We couldn't do that. So I thought that was really successful. It was really fun.
It was, it's amazing. Like, I think and that's why I believe, I don't know what I'm saying, couples and that stay together, but I think even friends who exercise together, right. There's a bond that happens because you know that you're in it together. I don't know. And
I think some of it also around kind of honoring your word and having the kind of relationship too, where you can really you can challenge the other person, to push them a little further if they need it. That you can hold them accountable. An accountability partner is great in any time you're doing any sort of endeavor. So I feel like that does play a certain role, in that, in the success of the working out together.
Yeah, that has shaped our relationship in so many ways. It's become part of the things that we assume we don't even talk about. We just do it together. Yeah. Do you think that's?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, particularly moving here then too. So when we moved to Kenya. And we have, we live on the side of an old volcano, so there's a crater right behind us, and we'll go and we do our runs around the back of the house, and it's also, it can be a bonding time. It's beautiful. When we were in LA, it wasn't quite as beautiful, and in fact, there were times where if we went one way, which was sort of the convenient way, it was also going through a pretty shady neighborhood, like areas where you wouldn't run if we weren't together. And
talk about that. The other thing I feel like as a woman, once we started dating, it became so easier for me to even go on runs at night. Because when I was single, I had to make sure that I went on runs before 7. Yeah. But then once we started dating, we sometimes would go on runs at 10 p.m.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of talk about that real quick before we get back in, because I remember you talking about that, and I was a little bit sort of dismissive of it, right? And then we actually went on a run. We were running together, and I was maybe 10 paces in front of you. And some couple of guys harassed you even when I was there. And I could only imagine that if you were alone, my blood boiled, but we were running and they just did their thing, and I was like, hey babe, give me a hug or whatever, right? And then you just kind of ran right past. But that, for me as a man, and it wasn't even directed at me, was moderately terrifying. I can only imagine what that's like I can't even imagine what that would be like then as a woman in that situation running alone. It would be ridiculous.
I know. So it's kind of like interesting because I've always ran in a hoodie, you know. So just because I can cover myself and I wear like tights, which like I know like most women just wear like baggy pants so that they can be ambiguous, like I don't know. But it's been like running together made it easier for me to go on runs, like early mornings and like especially at night. Like I could never go on runs at night. So the last 3 years I've been able to like do night runs. But like that day what happened is just like I wasn't even mad because that had happened before. So he was, I don't know, he was just like a guy who wanted me to give him a hug while I was running, and I just shook his hand. I remember, or like I waved, and then I kept going, you know.
Right.
But that happens, and I'm sure it happens to so many other women when they go on runs. But But now having moved to Nakuru, running is it's way different.
So we are at 6,500 feet above sea level, and being on the side of a mountain, the nice place that we like to go running is kind of behind the house, but we have to go up this hill. And if you start running up the hill, you're done. There's no more energy left.
I can't run here. It's impossible for me to run here.
Wow.
Like when we start up the hill, by the time I'm up the hill, I'm like cannot breathe. I'm out of breath. And also like something has happened where you've really embraced running.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest. I hate it. Like right now, like I don't get as much joy as I used to, like I got in the last 10 years. Like something has just shifted since we moved back to Kenya.
Well, you know, if you used to run for enjoyment and it was fun, but here, as soon as we get to where we like to run and going up that hill, it's so winded now. It's not, you know, the enjoyment doesn't come from like a stroll in the park or just a jog in the neighborhood.
I think that's it.
It's like it's actually work. So when you go to the gym and you're pushing yourself and you have a trainer and he's making you work, it's not like that's not. You're happy to do it. It releases endorphins. It's engaging, but it's not the kind of thing that most people are like, oh my God, I can't wait to go and get my ass kicked by a trainer and then have to come home and be sore for 3 days because I got my butt kicked so hard.
Yeah, I think I used to run as a meditative practice, and in Nakuru, it's not a meditative practice. It's work. It's like every breath, every step is hard and painful.
So, but I just, when we're talking about endorphins, I'm wondering if that kind of also going back to couples that exercise together, stay together, is that when, in exercising, you do release endorphins and these sort of, the good feeling that you get from that, then we're doing that together, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that, in some ways it makes sense because you're doing something that's then releasing these feel-good hormones in your own body, and then we're together.
Yeah, I guess.
There's something else that I've read quite a bit. I do a lot of work around men's work, both in men's groups, in person, moderate one online as well. And one thing that often comes up is exercise, right? Or working out, training. This thing of like, oh, if you're not happy in your relationship or whatever, go work out and your wife will be more into you. And one of the things that's like I've read
that
is
sounds almost fucked up,
but one of the things, the fucked up thing might be like, what is the reasoning for that, right? Okay. So some of these guys are like, oh, she can see you're looking great again, and now it's like a threat, which is BS. I think what it is that what's actually really sexy is that I care for myself, right? And I want to be better, I want to improve, whether that's, and self-care I think is really important. Yeah, and we put that in different, we put that in different categories. Self-care can be working out, it can be going on a run. Self-care can be running a marathon. Self-care can be reading books. Self-care can be going to therapy, can be doing programs like Landmark or meditation retreats or whatever. Self-care is really sexy. If you want me to love you, but you don't take care of yourself, then what does that say about you? Why do you want me to love you if you can't love yourself or something?
Yeah.
Right?
I see that, and I think it's like really important. But I think also like people do take care of themselves in different ways, you know.
No, that's what I mean.
So
for
like
sure.
sometimes to me, taking care of self-care is watching Netflix
Totally.
and drinking a glass of wine while I'm
Or
doing
two
it.
or two glasses.
Or 2 glasses.
But self-care is not necessarily watching Netflix every night with
No.
a glass or two of wine.
No, but on a weekend after like long.
After a hard week is nice, but then we also want to get up and go on a run. So yeah, in just kind of walking through this, I feel like there's certainly been a, I can say in the 3 years that we've been together and working out, my own understanding of self-care through exercise, and the one I've chosen primarily has been running, though we've done other things. We probably said we were pretty good at the gym for probably about 4 months or maybe a little bit more before we moved here. And the way that we also incorporate that into our lives, I think it's pretty special.
Yeah, and I feel like you've embraced running in a whole different way. Like when we first started running, you did it to do it with me, and I think for me.
No, that's not totally true. Okay. I mean, I've often wanted to really sort of take care of my body in that way, but sort of having the partner made a big difference, because I would go through periods where I do yoga regularly, or there were times when I had run, and one of the issues actually with running is that it used to hurt my hips a lot.
Yeah.
And so when we met and we started running, I thought, instead of just stopping because it hurts, I'm going to see a chiropractor at the same time. So when we started running, it was great. Then my hips started hurting. So immediately what I did is I went and I started going to the chiropractor 3 times a week for about a month. And I, and I made sure to work that in, and so the chiropractor knew what was going on. And that made a big difference. So it was also a different kind of investment, and then it mattered to you. And so at that time where in the past I might have been, my hips or whatever, maybe this isn't for me, instead there was this additional motivation.
Yeah.
And sometimes, anytime, obviously there are people who just exercise, it's just part of what they do, it's part of their own rhythm. But starting a new rhythm or starting something new in your life can be really, it stumps people all the time, right? It's the reason why people have goals and they don't meet them. They have dreams, they want to do different things. It's actually really hard, and having the accountability partner, and then it mattered to you a lot, made it so that I wouldn't stop. And I think that having some kind of different, tying in with different goals or intentions makes a difference. And actually we can go right into that, because we both have goals in our exercise lives right now that at the moment are different. So right now we're actually not exercising together.
We're not exercising together, and I want to quit. My new routine, because I've always ran, but now my new goal is to gain muscle. So I joined the gym, and I'm in so much pain.
Well, you joined a gym with a trainer who is really good and B kind of
amazing. Yeah. He's like, I just go in and he's pushing me to an extent I've never been pushed before, and I've never been pushed before because I've never really had a regular workout routine except running. But I did not think it was gonna, I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle, but I did not think it was going to be this hard. I can hardly walk. I'm in so much pain. The other day I went to the bathroom and I could not stand up. I was like, Matthew, come and help me get up. It's that painful. So I also understand when people, I would say I go on running and I really enjoy it because it's a meditative practice. And some people get that at the gym, and I'm really not getting that at the gym.
Yeah. But you have a specific goal, and you're working towards it, and I do, and so in that way we're sharing something, because every day basically I have to go on a run almost every day, and almost every day you have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So and I am running a half marathon at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro in about 5 weeks, and for me that's actually I'm doing it with a friend, and I wanted to run a half marathon for a while, but it just like the timing didn't quite work out.
A while before?
No, after I met you, but
Okay.
about a year. My goal was in 2018 was to run a half marathon, and it didn't happen. And I actually think it's when I look back on it, I think you mentioned to me the other day. So it's a goal with a timeline isn't such a great thing because when you don't hit it, it can be demoralizing. And I think that can be true. But the other thing that is also true, at least for me, is that it's not so much demoralizing as it gave me a certain oomph. It actually really got me running and thinking about it in a different way. So that now, when the opportunity came at just the right time, with a friend who wants to run it, I thought, wait, wow! Instead of like going, driving a half an hour or an hour down the road to go do a marathon in LA or Oxnard or Santa Barbara or whatever, instead I'm going to the base of Mount Kilimanjaro and running a half marathon, which is awesome.
That's really awesome.
But it's hard. It's tough and it's a challenge. But also, we both have these goals, and even though at the moment they're not the same, because we've had goals where they've been workout goals or regimens, anyways, that were fully intertwined. We did them together. At this point, we're not doing them together, but we also are doing it together because at the end of every day or every couple of days, we check in. Hey, how's your thing going? How many miles did you run? What did you lift? What were the exercises you did today? Right?
Yeah.
So these were the 5 exercises that I did at the gym.
And I was so excited for you the other day when you went on a 6-mile run in Nakuru. And I was like, you came back, and I was like, yay! And
I had my best time for any run, and it was 6 miles, and it was a lot of uphill, and the same amount of uphill as it is downhill, obviously, but the downhill, when at 6,500 feet above sea level, the downhill doesn't give you as much respite as the uphill just rips your life and soul and everything out of you.
I'm so proud of you that you're actually going to Tanzania to run, and it's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So what do you think is going to happen after I gain my 10-pound of muscles and you get to run the half marathon? Do you think the last 3 years have proven that this is something that we just did together? Do you think we're going to kind of find a way to kind of go back and start exercising?
I think we do. And I think one of the things that's really important that, and now at sort of the ripe old age of 42, I used to kind of think that, if I set something out, like I want to go run a half marathon, or I want to, let's go run 3 times a week, or we're going to put on X amount of muscle, or whatever these things. And then you get to a point where you just don't, or you get too busy, right? So we were running almost every day when we moved here, but since I came back from the US, we haven't run at all. So there was 2 months or 2.5 months where there was no exercise almost whatsoever. We went on walks.
We went on every day. We went on at least half an hour walk.
Yes, we went on a walk.
We went on a walk.
But it wasn't exercise
it wasn't.
In the way it's been in the past. It was, hey, let's go on. We always went on a walk. We got out, we went on a walk, it was great. But to me, those ebbs and flows are also totally okay. So there's sort of a period of time where I might have said, this doesn't work because, I'm a failure because I did it for a while and then I stopped. And then I have to recommit to doing it again. I think that the recommitting is totally okay. Recommitting is great.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that I'm curious about is for anybody else who's listening and watching, what are the things that you do either with your partners? Are there ever ideas that you've had that you've wanted to do, or kind of what works for you?
Yeah, I mean, what works for you, and how do you do it? Do you do it for the exercise, or do you do it more as a meditative practice?
Yeah, and I think because what we're doing right now is just what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to evolve, right?
And it has every year.
It's changed, right? But in 4 months, we're not going to be in Nakuru, and we're going to be back in the U.S. and in Europe for a little bit of time. So it's going to have to shift again, and then we're going to come back. When we're back in Kenya, then we'll be in Nairobi, and things will just shift. And I think that's just an important part of the process is being okay with that. And we'll be up also for any other ideas that anybody has to share. We're going to be on the hunt for what's going to come next for us in what we do together, so that we can exercise together and stay together. Because
Do we want to stay together?
Yeah, I think at least as long as we're exercising together, we want to. Yeah.
Okay, then if we want to stay together, then we have to keep exercising together.
That would be a good thing. So we'll know when it's time for a divorce. One of us will say, you know what? I just don't want to exercise anymore with you. I'm sorry. Like I need to slowly, like, sort of slip out of this one.
All right.
All right.
Email us, text us. Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah. So thanks for spending some time with us at It's Not All Black and White.
I am Cera. I'm black.
I'm Matthew. I'm white. We're the interracial couple, and we'll see you next time.